Hi everyone, bonjour à tous.
Good evening und für unsere deutschsprachigen Freunde herzlich willkommen zu Journey to the Chateau. My name is Patrick.
And I'm Stuart.
Today's episode is about reminiscing the travels we have had and sites we've visited in the Loire Valley. And of course we had to include Versailles. Who can't? It's just impossible not to. We hope you enjoy all of those that we have included in this tour. We absolutely love, and there are many more that we adore as well. So enjoy. The Château de Chinonso is a 16th century French manor house built on the foundations of an old mill and later extended to cross the river Cher. In 1535, King Francis I seized the estate for unpaid debts. Francis' heir, King Henry II, then gifted the Château of Chenonceau to his mistress Diane de Poitiers, with the crown retaining ownership. After King Henry passed, his widow, Queen Catherine de' Medici, forced Diane de Poitiers to trade her Chenonceau for the nearby Château de Chaumont-sur-Loire. Château de Chinonso is the second most visited chateau in France. It is surpassed only by the Palace of Versailles.
Château de Langeais is a 15th century flamboyant Gothic castle that sits along with the ruins of its original 10th century keep. King Louis XI rebuilt Château de Langeais into what today is one of the best known examples of late medieval architecture.
The Château de Villandry was constructed around an original 14th century keep and was completed in 1536. The new chateau was not built for any defensive purpose, but for style and as a luxury residence. It was the last Renaissance-style castle to be built in the Loire Valley. As a result of architectural changes made by numerous owners in the 18th century, the Renaissance chateau had lost its character. It remained that way until 1906. When Dr. Joachim Cavallo and his wife Anne Coleman, heiress to an American iron and steel empire, purchased Villandry. The interiors are amazing and the gardens are completely unique. When Cavallo started to rebuild the Renaissance gardens, he used historical plans and documents to recreate the splendor of the Renaissance. He transformed the English garden between 1908 and 1918 into what we see today. His philosophy was that a Renaissance chateau should have a Renaissance garden. Every time I have visited this chateau, I have left with a sense of elevation and amazement.
Overlooking the river Loire, the Château de Samura was originally constructed in the 10th century. The chateau was rebuilt by Henry II of England in 1068, after the original fortress, along with the neighboring Benedictine Abbey, had burned down.
The Château of Versailles-le-Rideau was built between 1518 and 1527 in the reign of King Francis I by Gilles Berthelot. He was treasurer of France. Shortly after the completion, the treasurer was accused of stealing funds to build this chateau, and he had to flee. One of the earliest examples of the French Renaissance architecture, it was built on the site of an old feudal castle. The chateau rises out of the river Indre and is incredibly romantic, set in an 8-hectare park. The interiors of the chateau are sumptuous, and the staircases are a masterful example of Renaissance stonemason work. Don't forget to see the top floor. The construction of the rafters is spectacular. The chateau underwent a major restoration between 2015 and 2017. This chateau is publicly owned and preserved by the French Historical Society. We highly recommend a visit to this amazing chateau.
Chteau de Breze was transformed during the 16th and 19th centuries. The current structure is Renaissance in style. It retains some medieval elements, including a drawbridge and a 12th century troglodytic basement. In addition to the underground tunnels, the impressive dry moats are considered amongst the deepest in all of Europe.
Like Villandry and Chenonceau, the Château de Brissac is privately owned. Originally built as a defensive castle in the 11th century, with towers and high walls, it was badly damaged during the Wars of Religion. It was rebuilt after 1611 and became the tallest chateau in France with over 200 rooms and over 7 stories. It was never completely rebuilt in the Baroque style. Some of the towers are original and some have very large gaps, which is very fascinating. It is very impressive and a joy to visit. The kitchen, theater, and amazing park are all worth your time, and the guided tours are not rushed or stuffy, but energetic and relaxed.
Built in 1772, the Château de Montgeoffroy is a perfectly preserved 18th century family chateau. The 2 towers, the chapel, and the moat are all original features from the 16th century building. The chateau still possesses its original archives and furniture in both the Louis XV and Louis XVI styles that have been handed down from the original occupants. Montgeoffroy survived the French Revolution without any damages, and even today, the chateau is well preserved. It is truly a masterpiece of 18th century architecture. At the Château de Versailles, King Louis XIV dedicated a good part of his reign to the construction of the gardens that surround the palace. In 1662, minor modifications to the chateau were undertaken. However, greater attention was given to developing the gardens. Situated to the west of the palace, the Versailles Gardens cover some 800 hectares of land, much of which is landscaped in the classic French formal garden style, perfected by André Le Nôtre. Starting as a humble gardener without specialized training, Le Nôtre designed and conceived a series of gardens, groves, and parks for Versailles. His achievements were, and still are, considered to be the work of a genius, and spanned 25 long years during which the Gardens of Versailles would continue to grow in size and in splendor. With 372 statues, 55 water features, 600 fountains, this is a garden that was designed to impress, and it certainly does.
Thank you so much for watching and vielen Dank. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen.
Bonne journée.
Goodbye.
See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please use the like feature to let us know. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Journey to the Chateau YouTube channel if you would like to see more. Once you've subscribed, you can tap the notification bell in order to ring it, which will allow you to receive all notifications from our channel. Thank you.